My high school Spanish teacher once projected this image on the screen. My initial reaction was concern for what I was seeing. You see a man wearing a red and yellow suit, jumping over a mattress with babies lying on top of it. All I could think about was, what is going on? Why are they jumping over babies? Our Spanish teacher asked us what we thought was happening, and no one got it right. It turns out this is a tradition that happens in Spain. Apparently, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and yet wasn't able to capture the essence of this tradition. There are several other pictures, such as this one, that also don't capture these unique moments. Travel has become more popular, causing people to take pictures of places around the world, from beautiful landscapes to different cultures that they may experience. Instagram is one example of people being able to share those photographs and experiences online. It has led to the change in the meaning of travel. It has changed how others see us, how its popularity has affected attraction sites from across the world, and how it has prevented people from learning and appreciating beauty of culture through travel. It is normal for this generation to post on Instagram in hopes of getting several likes and gaining followers. People tend to overlook these simple behaviors when in reality, it has such a deeper meaning behind it. It made me realize how trapped we are in our own little worlds, preventing us from seeing outside of our comfort zone and expanding our perspective culturally and spiritually. We see a picture we like on Instagram and think, I want to go there, and starts getting known as an Instagrammable location that you can go to. People go to that location for a picture and not for the place itself. They are there in order to capture that same image someone else already took. Why do we do this? Social media has allowed one to have the potential to communicate with the majority of the people in the world. You have the ability to share whatever you please in whatever way you wish. Instagram is a way people are able to express themselves online through the videos and photographs. It allows people to share those travel experiences, but sometimes not in a positive way. Some people share those experiences as a form to brag about what they have done or accomplished. Others use it as a way to promote and advertise the location. The people who view these experiences have two different responses. In social networks, Travel and Talk, John Ury mentions how the proliferation of devices has to some extent substituted physical travel. Some people have actually been satisfied from experiencing travel through bloggers and are content with seeing it at a distance. It's a bit disappointing realizing how we have access to the entire world and instead want to see it in the eyes of someone else rather than your own. Other people have been influenced by how these bloggers communicated and displayed these locations. People have begun using social media as a way to decide on their future travels, but sometimes these communications cause misconceptions. For example, this image was trending on Instagram. This picture is a cliff in Norway with a beautiful background of the mountains. This person is sitting at the edge of the cliff as though not a single person is around. If anything, that's far from the truth. In reality, there is a long line of hikers wrapping around the terrain, hoping to capture this version of the Instagrammable shot that they've seen. These occasions can be communicated in hopes of attracting people to these places, and yet it promotes false information. Rather than taking advantage of social media, people rely on the words of others. If anything, they should do research on the place beforehand in order to know what to expect and what to look for when visiting a new place. Instagram has caused negative effects on attractions. It has caused over-tourism, narcissism in tourists, and tourists have been putting themselves in danger in order to capture that perfect picture. People have actually put their lives at risk in order to have something to share to their followers in order to stand out. In reality, they should be allowing themselves to enjoy those experiences rather than trying to prove something to people. It has even gone as far as people losing their common sense and decency for a moment. National Geographic's Carrie Miller shares how in 2015, a 24-year-old Australian student fell to her death in order to recreate this iconic shot. There are several examples, such as this one, of how tourists have ignored official signage and safety warnings in popular attraction sites across the globe. Social media has not only caused overcrowding, but also dangerous stunts. People are putting their lives at risk in order to try mimicking other pictures rather than enjoying their experiences. Helen Coffey's 10 Tourist Destinations Ruined by Instagram lists off different locations that have been affected by Instagram. In Santorini, there have been over-tourism, causing the Greek island to limit the number of cruise ships that visit. Abu Dhabi's Grand Mosque is known as a place of worship for Muslims. Several people have taken controversial pictures. Muslims have a strict religious dress code. If anyone is seen going against those guidelines, it is disrespectful against their religion. This could have been prevented if travelers have tried researching a location beforehand rather than relying on their influencers. The example I was most baffled by was the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin, Germany. There are people visiting these concentration camps and taking pictures and selfies with big smiles, peace signs, or a thumbs up. The museum put an effort in trying to make it educational to promote and preserve this tragic history. It's a place that should be quiet and respectful to allow people to reflect. Instead, it has been morphed as if it were Disneyland. I'm not saying these people are terrible individuals. I'm just saying that they had a gap in their thinking at that moment. If they actually took some time to think about it for a minute about what they were doing, then they probably wouldn't have done it in the first place. Israeli satirist and author Shahak Shapira have photoshopped these pictures taken at the Holocaust Memorial by people in order to show how these pictures can be so disrespectful. It's one thing to be told about how it can be disrespectful, but it's different to see it for yourself, especially through these images. If people took the time to reflect, they would be able to realize what experiences they were able to gain and learn from them. Instagram has also affected people in traveling for the sake of a photograph rather than appreciating the beauty of the cultures those locations have to offer. It has caused people to not research the place beforehand, not allowing themselves to fully experience the place they are visiting. They are there to consume the same experience they saw online, which can cause a negative effect on the place itself. Guillaume Devenant, in Blogging as a Social Medium, mentions how there are different types of blogs: individual, collaborative, and corporate, which can have a positive and negative effect. Individual blogs have allowed people to share their own personal experiences, causing them to display an image they wish to portray online about themselves. Collaborative blogs have been a link to travel and tourism services, such as hotels, flights, and so forth. Corporate blogs have allowed companies to promote themselves. But one thing they all have in common is having a negative effect on their followers and customers. Devenant mentions how it has caused them to create a new form of customer communication. Therefore, everything's starting to become more about the profit. For example, there's a place in Thailand where monks give traditional tattoos for only a few dollars. It is such an amazing experience since it is so unique compared to getting tattoos elsewhere. These tattoos are believed to bring good luck, strength, and protection against evil. After social media was on the rise, it has caused the community to adapt to the consumer's desires. Rather than having a monk do the tattoos, ordinary people were given them to tourists. On top of that, the prices rose dramatically from a few dollars up to like $200. In efforts to adapt to the consumerism of the tourists, they lost their original traditions, causing people to not truly appreciate the real beauty that culture was able to offer. In The 10 Lessons to Learn from Traveling by Nicole Darien, she shares how traveling can be beneficial. She goes on about how it allows one to feed their curiosity about the differences that exist in the world, how people can get out of their comfort zone and explore other cultures. But another benefit I want people to truly grasp is to appreciate the beauty and culture of another country. It is so easy for people to question and judge other cultures that are different than yours. Traveling to a completely different place than your own gives you a new perspective that you won't be able to have unless you experience it for yourself, not from reading or hearing about it. The act of actually being somewhere new allows you to truly appreciate the place, the people, clothing, language, traditions, and everything in between. It can't be taught by influencers, only experienced. One day, I started doing my own research by scrolling on Instagram. I started scrolling and trying to see other people's stories, videos, and pictures posted by my friends. Since I studied abroad, I did have a wide variety of who I'd be seeing, since I have friends from different countries. These posts varied in cultures and locations, allowing me to get different perspectives. When it came to sharing the travel experiences, there were some people who posted different amounts or did not post at all. There was actually a friend I know in Finland who told me she was going to go on vacation to a different city in her country. I realized that she never posted any pictures of her trip. When I spoke to her, she seemed to have a lot more experiences compared to those who posted more. I was able to see how the people who did share their experiences on Instagram had different ways of portraying it online. For example, my friend from Colombia went to Spain. He shared several pictures that seemed to capture that perfect moment. It seemed as if he didn't have the same amount of experience compared to those who didn't pose as much, because he tried to get that perfect image. I have another friend who has traveled across his country in Brazil, who hasn't really posted many pictures. Even when he does, it's not a perfect picture. It's just a simple picture of him and his friends. He's not trying to be like, look where I'm at. If anything, he's just trying to share the moments he has created. This is different compared to the people who post often in hopes of sharing the perfect pictures they have taken to share it with everyone. It was kind of upsetting to realize how so many people actually share these experiences in order to get the likes and attention. In reality, they aren't getting these experiences and memories that could have happened. It's perfectly fine trying to get a picture or remember the experience. It's different trying to get the perfect picture in order to show it off to your friends or followers. My dad, for example, he went to Europe before he even had kids. He didn't take any pictures the time he was there. Although it was a different time, he could have taken a disposable camera with him. He didn't take any pictures from his time there. When I talked to him about it, his eyes just kind of light up. He goes on and on and on about all the places he has visited. He's like, I remember going here. I remember exactly where it was. I did this and that. But most of the time, people don't really describe their experiences like that anymore. At least not as often. It made me wonder why people cared so much about showing others what we did rather than appreciating it for yourself. We should be having these experiences to reminisce about and to learn from rather than trying to prove it to anyone else. The next day, I looked through Instagram again. I realized Americans tend to share so much more of what they have experienced compared to other cultures who don't share them as much. I noticed that my friends from Japan showed off so many pictures of their friends, food, or culture events they even attended. My friends in the United States were sharing their trips. Some were showing themselves off at the Eiffel Tower with the perfect angle. Others were posed at a beach with the caption, "You wish you were us." It was interesting to see how people of different cultures shared their experiences on Instagram. I think it's important to learn as much as you can while you're in another country, another world. You'll be able to actually grasp those differences compared to your home country instead of just trying to get the perfect image and show it off to everyone else. Communication can be shifted on social media in a way that can benefit people. Communication isn't only through captions, but the videos and photographs themselves. I was trying to see the perspective of Instagram influencers, so I went into different travel blogs. I saw two different influencers who posted their online travel. One person's blog on Instagram had so many perfect posts of themselves. So, in reality, it didn't seem as if they were enjoying themselves as much. I feel like as if they were showing off, if anything. They kept having shirtless pictures, pictures with their significant other, posing at a beach, and so forth. They spent more time trying to pose for that perfect image instead of actually trying to enjoy the time there. They wanted to portray that they were enjoying themselves when, truthfully, trying to capture that image could be stressful. If they don't like it, they might take another one until eventually they get the picture they want. It's even worse when you're with other people. If one person doesn't like it, then you take another one until eventually the both of you do. I went to another person's travel blog where this person travels, but they kept taking pictures of the place itself. It's different since they were into photography and they were trying to capture that essence and beauty of the place they were visiting. It seemed as if they were still enjoying it by not trying to get that perfect picture of themselves, but trying to get that perfect picture of what they were seeing. It was different since that first blogger was trying to show off on the different places they were visiting and where their followers were missing out on. The second blogger wasn't trying to show off, but trying to capture the beauty of the place they traveled to through their photography. Although their styles are different, they still weren't exactly showing their followers the true aspect of what traveling is really about. I began exploring one other social media influencer, and I saw her blog, and she was trying to capture that essence of traveling. She seemed to travel a lot. She captured the essence of the culture by dressing appropriately to the place she was visiting. She seemed as though she was trying to capture the beauty of the culture and how they dressed locally or traditionally. But a photograph will never truly capture the meaning behind it. It will never capture the meaning behind those traditions or allow people to understand that culture. People will never truly be able to understand unless they see it and experience it for themselves. Some people might say it and not think too much into it. I hope others will be inspired to try looking into the different cultures traveling may offer one to learn about. There was someone I interviewed who I thought was perfect since he tends to travel often. I started to ask him simple questions such as why he got an Instagram in the first place, how often he posts or would post, how often does he travel versus how often does he post about the places he has traveled to, and so on. When I asked him, he kind of basically said that he got it just to look at the cool pictures of places from around the world. But he doesn't care what he posts on Instagram. He doesn't really post on Instagram at all. He's traveled so much in the past, but never allowed himself to post it because he was trying to enjoy that time he had in the places he was visiting. No one knew he went to California for 3 weeks. He said that when he came back, people began asking him where he went. That's when he began sharing all the stories and experiences that he had while he was gone. He was actually allowing himself to preserve those memories instead of just trying to share those memories for someone else. He said it is better to get the experience itself rather than trying to get the experience of taking the picture. I realized from that person that you can really capture the essence of travel if you actually put your mind into it instead of trying to get that image and post it for people on social media. I think it's okay to take pictures, but to not try to capture it for the sake of someone else. Pictures are meant to hold memories that are special to you, not for someone else. There's something I want people to do. Quit being consumers. Rather than being a traveling consumer, be a student. Quit wasting your time. You don't have to try capturing the perfect pictures in hopes of showing people where you have been. Snap a quick photo that will have meaning to you, and that's it. That is all that matters. Posing is just wasting the little time you have in exploring the new place you are visiting. You don't try wasting your time on people in the real world, so why waste it on people online? For example, there's this picture where people are in Bali, Indonesia, where two stone monoliths stand in front of the beautiful landscape of being on top of a mountain. The person's reflection is being illuminated with a crystal clear lake underneath it. But it was all a hoax. It turns out someone used a piece of glass to create the illusion of the river. People were interested in capturing this picture and not interested in the place itself, that they were disappointed because they didn't get what they want. Some people got mad because they still wanted to capture that image, so they used a piece of glass to get the picture anyway. They would get aggressive in the way of them wanting to wait in line to get the picture, to get what they came for, even though it was all a lie. It caused people to be aggressive over one another, disrespect communities and locals that actually live there. Again, we shouldn't be consuming the experiences of others. Rather than trying to get the image everyone else is trying to get, why not explore the place around it? Be a student. Learn what other things Bali has to offer. Bali doesn't only have to do with that one picture. So quit wasting your time for one picture. The memories are more important than the picture itself. Quit assuming. People assume that there was a river in this picture when they could have simply Googled it and realized it was all a hoax. Let's go back to the picture I shared in the beginning, with the person jumping over the babies. The reason this person is doing this is because it is an old custom in Spain for someone to dress as a devil in a red and yellow suit and jump over babies that are no more than 12 months old. The point of this is for them to jump over them with a whip and castanets. The reason they do this is because it is a tradition that cleanses the babies of the original sin, ensures safe passage through life, and guard them against illnesses and evil spirits. This picture is not able to capture that. You would have never known about this tradition through this image. If anything, if you were to be there and actually ask what the point of that tradition was, then you would be able to realize why they are doing it. Although the picture may seem very strange or even wrong to your beliefs, it isn't able to capture the essence of what the tradition truly means. Rather than trying to consume this experience, it is better to be a student and learn the meaning of this tradition that the picture wasn't able to capture. Don't judge the picture quickly before having all the background and what it truly means. So quit assuming. It's better to ask questions and learn something rather than allowing yourself to never have learned it at all. Quit trying to brag. It's okay to take pictures to remember the places you have visited. It is not okay to take them in order to prove something to someone else. The pictures are for you to remember what you learned, and to remember what you experienced. You don't need to prove shit to anyone except yourself. Quit trying to show off when in reality you should just be happy with what you've done without needing everyone to know. Lastly, and most importantly, once again, quit being a consumer. Become students. Instead of just trying to be consumers in every other place and country we go to, I'm actually trying to urge you guys to travel like students. Rather than just consuming all the things, such as a picture or the experience you are trying to get, try to actually consume all that knowledge that you are able to obtain when going to another country. Like back then, social media didn't have any aspect or influence on that. You would go there and actually try to learn about that culture, those traditions, the languages, try the food, and actually try to communicate with the locals there. But these days, we aren't even allowing ourselves to do that because on Instagram, we're just trying to portray what we have seen, even though in reality, that is not what the big idea is about. The big idea is to appreciate the places you have been and try to broaden your cultural perspective in the world. It's better to broaden your perspective in order to gain as much as you can in the place you are visiting. You should absorb everything you can while you're actually there. Instead of being consumers, try to be students and actually try to experience all the places instead of focusing on what other people have to say about it. Make your own experiences and don't try to have the same experiences and pictures that everyone else has. We want to lose that consumerist attitude in order to realize what we are actually able to experience, to learn, and gain from these travels. We need to reflect in order to understand the true aspects of traveling. And that all starts once we all become students again. And I believe that's an idea worth sharing.